A man pulls into a parking lot driving a luxury car. People assume he's successful, but what they don't see is that his bank account has less than a few $100s in it. His credit cards are nearly maxed out, and he's stressed every month just trying to keep up with the payments. Meanwhile, the man parked next to him in a 10-year-old car might quietly have 6 figures invested. One looks rich, the other is rich, and most people can't tell the difference anymore. Because today, looking wealthy has become easier than actually becoming wealthy. If you enjoy calm and realistic conversations about money and financial psychology, consider subscribing. This channel is about understanding money clearly, not chasing hype. Now let's talk about something most people rarely discuss openly: the difference between fake wealth and real wealth. Once you see the patterns, you start noticing them everywhere, and more importantly, you learn how to avoid falling into them yourself. 1. The luxury trap that keeps people broke. One of the most common patterns is buying the cheapest version of an expensive brand. Not because the product itself is special, but because the logo sends a message. A man might stretch his finances to buy an entry-level luxury car. Meanwhile, another vehicle at the same price might offer better reliability, better features, and lower long-term costs. But status often wins over practicality, and here's the part many people underestimate. Luxury items rarely stop costing money after you buy them. Insurance becomes more expensive, maintenance costs rise, repairs cost more. So the original purchase slowly turns into a long chain of expensive obligations. Real wealth usually comes before luxury. Fake wealth often tries to start with luxury. 2. The man who can't stop talking about money. You've probably met someone like this. No matter what the conversation is about, it somehow turns into a discussion about money. Talk about food, suddenly he's explaining how much he earns now. Talk about travel, he's describing the expensive trips he plans to take. Talk about business, he starts mentioning deals that are about to happen. And here's something interesting. A lot of the money he talks about is future money, money he's about to make, deals that are about to close, opportunities that are about to explode, but the present rarely matches the story. People who are genuinely secure financially usually don't feel the need to constantly prove it, because confidence doesn't require an audience. 3. Another common sign is owning expensive items, but having almost no financial safety. For example, someone might wear a watch worth several $1,000s, but if an unexpected expense happens tomorrow, they're in trouble. That purchase wasn't a celebration of success, it was an attempt to look successful. And this creates a dangerous trade: short-term admiration for long-term financial stress. But here's the part most people don't realize. The people you're trying to impress usually stop thinking about your purchase after a few seconds. You're the one who keeps paying for it. Some men treat every conversation like a competition. You mention a promotion, he had a bigger one. You talk about a vacation, his was more expensive. You share a small success, he quickly shares a bigger one. Over time, something interesting happens. People stop sharing good news around him. Because the conversation always becomes a contest. And the truth is, real confidence doesn't need to win every conversation. In fact, people who are genuinely successful often enjoy celebrating other people's wins. Because someone else succeeding doesn't threaten their identity. Now we arrive at one of the biggest drivers of fake wealth: social media. Online wealth often looks effortless: luxury hotels, expensive dinners, perfect vacations. But here's something worth remembering: no one posts their budget spreadsheet, no one films themselves skipping purchases to save money, and almost no one shares the quiet discipline required to build wealth. So what people see is a highlight reel, and sometimes that highlight reel is heavily staged, which leads many people to start performing success instead of building it. Let me share a quick story. A friend once told me about 2 coworkers. One of them drove a brand new luxury car, wore expensive clothes, and talked constantly about money. The other drove an old car and lived a fairly simple lifestyle. At first, everyone assumed the first guy was the successful one. Years later, something surprising happened. The quiet coworker retired early. He had been investing consistently for years. The flashy one, still working, still making payments, still chasing the next opportunity. That contrast stuck with me because it perfectly shows the difference between looking wealthy and becoming wealthy. 6. The endless payment cycle, and the next sign is even more dangerous. The cycle of constant payments. New car payments, new gadgets, new lifestyle upgrades. Every few years the items change, but the payments never stop. From the outside it looks like progress, but financially it's often just a treadmill. You keep running, but you never move forward. Another pattern is constantly chasing the next big opportunity. Trading strategies, online business systems, investment tricks that promise fast results. Every few months there's a new idea that's about to change everything. But real wealth rarely happens that way. In most cases it grows slowly. Through patience, consistency, and time. Unfortunately, slow progress doesn't sound exciting, so people chasing the appearance of success often look for dramatic shortcuts. 8. The overcompensation effect. Sometimes the biggest sign is simply doing too much. Too many logos, too many flashy accessories, too many signals trying to prove success. Ironically, the wealthiest people in many rooms often look the most ordinary. They don't need every item they own to send a message, because their confidence isn't built on appearances. The quiet power of real wealth. Real wealth usually doesn't try to attract attention. It shows itself in different ways. The ability to handle emergencies calmly, the freedom to make decisions without constant financial pressure. The quiet growth happening in investments nobody else sees. Fake wealth focuses on how things look. Real wealth focuses on how things work. Next time you see someone projecting success, pause for a moment. Ask yourself a simple question. Is this person showing the results of wealth or the performance of wealth? Because those two things look very similar from the outside, but they lead to completely different futures. One path spends years trying to convince the world you're successful. The other quietly builds a life where you don't need to convince anyone. And in the long run, only one of those paths actually creates freedom.